everyone, it is Liam, the Death Doom Metalhead, and today is a vinyl collection update. This goes from black metal to doom metal to death metal, and then back and forth, kind of those three genres. So hopefully you'll get a kick out of this and you'll find something new to check out, but essentially this is all just really nasty, heavy music that I absolutely love. So the first one is a 2022 album. This is the third full length from this band. It's a one-man project out of Indonesia, and that is Pure Wrath with the album Hymn to the Woeful Hearts. This was put out through Debbie Morty Records this year and is atmospheric black metal. So it's got some acoustic-y, folky parts, very melody driven, but not in the riffs as such, but more the vocal arrangements and how it flows with the songs. And yeah, it just kind of takes you on a nice journey in this album art. It kind of sums up the feel of this album. This is, I say, the third full length from this band, formed in 2014, and is great. I absolutely love it. Blind buy, essentially. I only checked out one track on Spotify, and that was enough for me to pull the trigger, because I've been in a real, it's not even a kick anymore, it's just a thing now where I listen to a lot of atmospheric black metal. Inlay looks like that, with the chap there looking all tranquil, should we say, in the trees, and then you've got the lyrics on the other side. But yeah, a really, really cool album. Really, really enjoyed this a lot. The vinyl looks amazing. It also looks like the cover, which is always a bonus. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, Debbie Morty is a great label, like Achilles. There's tons of albums I've got through them. Always done to a high quality, so I kind of already know I'm going to enjoy it, because most of the bands they put out I listen to, and you know, I've got about 3 or 4 of their releases now, and they're all high end. They're quite expensive, some of them, but when you see the vinyl and what you get, it's, you know, it makes kind of sense. So yeah, worth checking out. The cover alone is amazing as well. So that's Pure Wrath with Hymn to the Woeful Hearts. Right, next one was a massive score for me. This is a band I've listened to since I don't know, my 21, 22 years old. I can't really remember when I discovered them. I was around that age. And is a band that kind of cements my kind of style of doom that I really like. This is a band that is a one-man project as well. By the guy's name is Johan Eriksson, I believe. He's also one of the founding members of the band Draconian, if you know from them, from Sweden. And he started this project in 2004, and this I managed to score the whole discography, so I'm really happy with this. So the first album by the band, Doom Us, is Eternum Veil. Now it's printed as Doom VS, but it's actually pronounced Doom Us, which I only found out last year after years and years of listening to this band. And the only reason he uses a V is because it looks cool, and he was inspired by Blue Oyster Cult albums that used the same sort of formula where they just used a V instead of a U, but it was actually a U. So there's no meaning behind it. The band is called Doom Us, and I think apparently in translation in Sweden, in Swedish, shall I say, how this is pronounced is something Doom related anyway. I can't remember now. I looked it online, but who cares? So yeah, anyway, I digress. So this is a collection I was after, probably on CD, but then I found a UK seller that had all 3 of these albums on vinyl here in the UK, you know, for a very good price. So put out through Solitude Productions, which is a Russian label that I was on as well a couple of years ago, should we say, probably more than that now. And you know, since the war, you know, it's all kind of changed now, and you can't buy Solitude Productions from their website. You just can't do it for obvious reasons. So when I saw these in the distro, you know, I was really, really surprised, because I didn't think you could get these anywhere else apart from, you know, the motherland. And yeah, they're fucking awesome. So first one, they're all gatefold, by the way, all double vinyl. This is all done by Johan. All the vocals, the guitar work, drums, everything is done by him. And if you're a big Draconian fan, you'll already kind of get a vibe for this music already. And then the second one, so the first one was released in 2006, that was a 2017 repress. This is a 2018 repress. This album came out in 2008, and that is Dead Words Speak. So check on my notes. So yeah, gets a bit doomier. Still Johan doing everything on here. Funeral doom, it's dirgy, it's horrible. Again, full gatefold and all the lyrics. All black vinyl. I think there are other colours that existed, but I don't know how easy they are to get. I've never seen them. So really, really cool. And I was really, really happy to get this one because this is the one that inspired me to listen to this band when I first heard it when it actually came out. This is a 2019 repress, but the album came out in 2014, which would have been the year I discovered them. And that is Earthless. I don't know, if you know my band Consecration and the album Fragilium, this album cover is what inspired our album cover. So Dan saw this and I said reference something like this. So yeah, it's quite cool how he managed to reference this. So if you know that album cover, you'll know where it comes from. But yeah, this is an amazing album. The only difference to the other two is this features the vocalist from Saturnus doing all the vocals. And yeah, it's just fantastic. This is a three-sided one though, because the original one that came out on vinyl was on one single disc and the sound quality wasn't great. So what they've done on here is the D side is blank and you get the full hit on the three discs. So the slow descent is just one track on its own on the C side. But yeah, an amazing band, really, really good music. You know, if you like your slow, dirgy, horrible doom metal like I do with the death metal growls on it, you'll be all over that. Right, moving back to black metal. This is a UK black metal band that I believe is in hiatus, but it could be going, I'm not 100% sure. This is a 2022 repress for the album that came out in 2012. This is their second full length from the supergroup, should we say, Covens, with the album On the Dawning of Light. This is a Lone Vigil Records repress, a limited first edition of 200. So this album came out, I say, in 2012, and there's a band that features the vocalist from Winterfilleth, as well as two chaps from who were in Extreme Noise Terror, and also features who else was it? Paul Ryan, who was the original member of Cradle of Filth, and has done loads of other bands since then. There's also, I think he's a booking agent nowadays. But yeah, so this is a really, really good atmospheric black metal album again. Like I say, if you're a fan of Winterfilleth, that kind of vibe, you know, it shines through on this music. It's got early 90s sounding black metal riffs, which you can obviously hear from Paul's rhythm guitar playing, and I know Chris, the vocalist, he does probably a lot of it, injecting his ideas into it as well. There was two variants for this. There was a red and black splatter, but I opted for the kind of white, red and black splatter. What kind of pinstripe thing? I don't know what you call it. Explosion, should we call it? Excuse me. But yeah, great black metal. You know, it gets real doomy in some parts as well, which I really like. And then it'll go fast again, speed up. Inlay, it looks like this, which is really cool. So you've got a picture of the guys there, which gives nothing away. And then look at that, with the lyrics on there, and the chaps' names, where it was recorded, that kind of thing. So yeah, if you like your English black metal, you'll be in for a treat with this, because it's really, really cool. I was aware of this album a few years ago, but it was kind of on my list to check out, and I never really got round to it. And then I saw they'd come up with a 22 repress, and I thought, fuck it, I'll buy it. But what was really nice, it also came with the 7-inch, which was released, I think, in 2017. So this is the EP, the Unknowing Servants, which has the Unknowing Servants, the Unknowing Servants track, and then a Bathory cover on the B-side. And also it came with a signed card there. I'm not sure whose signature that is though. Might be Chris's, I'm not too sure. But yeah, nice little signature in there. So yeah, really happy with that. That's just black wax for the 7-inch. So yeah, save some money, because I've seen that in a few distros, but they chucked it in for free, which was really, really nice. So yeah, Covens. Go check that out. That's really, really good. Right, moving back to death metal now. Most people will be aware of this album. If not, you need to check it out. This is the band Coffins from Japan, and this is their 5th full-length album called Beyond the Circular Demise. This is put out through Relapse Records in 2019. And if you don't know Coffins, they are a doom death band with kind of punk, kind of crust vibes in their music, depending on which album you go to. The early albums are more your old school 90s sounding death doom, and then as they've got older, they've kind of got this kind of punk attitude to it, and there's a bit crust punk style in there. And I love it. I fucking love this band. There's no bad albums from this band. Anything they put out is stellar. I've got compilations, I've got splits, you know, it's always quality. Really, really good band. And this album doesn't disappoint me either. You know what you're going to get. It's kind of got JCM Marshall 800 sound, but just straight out of the album. It's fuzzy, it's horrible, it's great. There's the band in question. Band actually formed in '96, and I think he is the original member. I'm not sure if all the other guys have been in the band as long as he has. But yeah, a really, really good band. Real fun, just nasty, autopsy-like riffs. It's just heavy, very, very heavy. And the Japanese, especially in the kind of doomy death kind of circuit, they know how to do it. I've got a few bands from Japan of that style, like Atoma is one of them, Anatomia even. So yeah, most people will know this one, but if you haven't, strongly recommend that. Now this one was a blind buy, purely based off a cover song on the B side of this. But I'm a big fan of the band, and I had to have it essentially. So this is German band The Ruins of Beverast with the compilation called, let's see if I can pronounce this right, Enchanted by Grave Mold, I think. It'll obviously be down there, so you'll read it before I even get it right or wrong. This is a compilation that came out back in 2011, but this is a 2021 repress. It features 6 tracks. A side has 3 original tracks, and then the B side has 3 cover tracks. On the A side, you got the first track is a 4-way split with Deathgate, Arcanum, and Nihil Nocturne and Anti. If that makes any sense to you. Don't know any of them bands when I read it, but it's from a split he did back in 2007 with 4 bands. And then there was another split in 2007, which is the second track by the band Gorefest. And then the third track is a special track that was limited edition, that was on a 7-inch that was featured in the second full-length album on the first press. So if you have that and it had a 7-inch, it has that track as the third track on this. And then on the B side, you've got covers from Dead Can Dance, Depeche Mode, and then the main reason I bought it, they cover My Dying Bride's Symphonaire Infernus. I fucking love that song, so it was really interesting to see his take on it. Now, Ruins of Beverast is another one-man project, so it's the third one-man project in this collection update. Band was formed in 2003, Alexander von Meilenwald, and yeah, he just puts this really nasty sounding black metal. The early stuff is very much the rawer sound, whereas the newer stuff's got kind of there's a like death metal edge to it. And then when he put out his album in 2021 that I really, really liked, it kind of had like a Typo Negative kind of vibe to it, so that was really cool. So yeah, really, really good band, and I couldn't pass up the opportunity to pick this up. This features a few little goodies inside it, I think. So the inlay is just a fixed stock card. Van Records always put out high quality inlets and all that kind of thing. It's always top quality with that label. That's why it's so fucking expensive. And the vinyl is just silver. Yeah, I love me some Ruins of Beverast, and I really, really want to get a few of their other full lengths, but it's just finding them for a decent price, because like I say, they're really expensive to pick up unless you get the represses, when they're printed. So yeah, go check it out. Well worth checking out. Alright, next one is one of my probably is my favourite death metal band. I've been slowly picking up the records that I don't have over the last 3 years since I've started collecting again. This is the band Gorefest, and this is the album Le Meurtre. This is a Back on Black repress from 2019. Originally, this came out in 2005, which is when I just finished high school. So I never even heard of the band. And this is when they reformed. So the band started out in 1989, split up in 1998 after I think maybe 4 or 5 albums. The first 3 albums, they were pure death metal. And then the 4th and the 5th one, they kind of went into this kind of Thin Lizzy death metal sound, where it was kind of heavy rock guitars, but the vocals still were guttural, which was very unusual, especially at the time, I guess, as well. But I loved it. That was when I first kind of heard them. Maybe, yeah, it would have been around then. No, we were talking about my arse. It would have been this album, wouldn't it? Yeah. So yeah, this is the first time I heard them. Was when they reformed and kind of went back to that kind of death metal edge, but it's nowhere near as heavy as the early stuff. And then they put one more out after this one, which I have, and then they split up again in 2009. But this is the 6th full length, and this is a full gatefold, double vinyl. I got this for an absolute steal. These aren't actually that expensive. The only one that is hard to find that I luckily have is the actual last album, Rise to Ruin. The rest of these have all been reissued on Back on Black, so you can pick them up pretty quickly. And yeah, kind of groovy, heavy, chunky, hard rock-driven, riffs. They're not like death metal riffs like you'd expect from like Obituary or Morbid Angel or anything like that. These guys kind of have that kind of. It's heavy, but it's like a hard rock, kind of heavy almost. But this one kind of went back to the older sound, almost. Vinyl looks like that. A bit intense. But yeah, an absolute blast of an album. I love it. I mean, to be fair, I love all their albums. There isn't one I really don't like. Soul Survivor is probably the only one that kind of would be bottom of the pile. And then maybe Chapter 13, and then probably continues from there. The first one I heard was maybe Rise to Ruin. And then I went back to this one, and then I went all the way back to the first album, which is a classic. So yeah, Gorefest, brilliant band, all the way from Holland. Right, next one is another Back on Black reissue, and the one after that is also a Back on Black reissue. So this is a band that I absolutely adore, and most people already know that, but I never actually owned this on vinyl. Someone was at a record fair here in Norwich, and they said to me, "Oh Liam, look at this, do you want this?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do." So he bought it for me and I paid him later. That's how cool my friends are. And this is the album from Candlemas called The King of the Grey Islands. This originally came out on Nuclear Blast back in, I don't even know, around 2007 maybe? Yeah, 2007. And then was reissued in 2019 on Back on Black. Features a bonus track that was never released just for this one called Edgar Grey on the D side, which was the main selling point for me as well. But this is also the first Candlemas album to feature Robert Lowe from Solitude Eternus on vocals. So in 2005, by memory, they had Messiah McCollum back on in the band. They had released that fantastic self-titled album. It was great. I loved it. And then I think what happened was Messiah was originally recorded vocals for this album with Andy Sneap behind the chair doing all the mixing and that, and then they canned it, went back to Sweden, and they got Peter Targaryen from Hypocrisy to mix it instead, and this was produced by Leaf, and then had Rob Lowe on vocals. And yeah, it turned out alright. I think he was with them for maybe 3 albums and a couple of live albums. And I like Robert Lowe on this album of Candlemas the most. Some of these albums are a bit flat for me. I think the inspiration isn't really there. Some of the songs are a bit flat, as in like words are just. I mean, I know Leaf writes all the vocals, so it didn't really gel for me. It was a bit too basic. But that one, the production of that one is amazing, and the vinyl looks like that, double vinyl. And yeah, I fucking love Candlemas. I mean, the artwork for this one is one of my favourites as well, from the Robert Lowe ones especially. I love me some skulls. So yeah, if you haven't checked this album out and you're new to Candlemas, obviously go and check out Nightfall, Tales of Creation, Ancient Dreams. Then check out the self-titled one, obviously Epicus, and then this one, the Rob Lowe ones especially, check this one out. This is the best out of the 3 Robert Lowe ones, to me anyway. So yeah, King of the Grey Islands, brilliant. Now, back to black metal. This was a blind buy. I picked this up along with that Gorefest album for, pennies, almost. And this is the 1997 album from Thy Primordial, which was called Where Only the Seasons Mark the Paths of Time. Now, this was originally released in 1997 through No Survivors Records, and this is a 2018 reissue from Back on Black. Band looks like that, which you'd kind of expect. Swedish black metal. Downside, I think, for this though, when I look at it really closely, it's obviously been blown up from the CD, so it's really pixelated in person. Doesn't look too bad from the distance, but if you got really close to it, you can really see it. But black metal, like I said, has become the norm to me. So when I saw it was just 90s black metal, I think this was only like a tenner I got for Discogs. I thought, fuck it, I'll buy it. And yeah, it is pretty decent. It's that kind of Scandinavian harsh black metal with loads of melodic leads. Vocals are probably the only thing I struggle with a little bit, is that barky kind of black metal vocal where it just sounds almost laughable at some points. But the more I listen to it, the more I enjoy it, and I've really got into this recently. I put this on again today just to kind of jog my memory, and it's really good. Came on a silver variant think this is the only version of it that exists on the repress. Yeah, it sounds decent, but like I said, I can't compare it to the original because a lot of people will compare Back on Black reissues to the original, and normally they fall flat. And this one, I have no idea. So if you have the OG of it, you obviously would know. But really, really cool. Interesting things I found out about this band was they were originally, obviously they were called Primordial at the start. I mean, the name might give it. I actually, to be fair, I thought this was a Primordial album when I first bought it. Then I saw the live bit and then kind of hesitated before I purchased it. But this was a band that formed in '94, but they changed the name the same year due to the Irish band Primordial, which I'm a big fan of, who had the band name 2 years prior to this band forming. So they then changed it to The Primordial. They disbanded in 2005. And what also I can tell you is the drummer for this band also drummed on the Dawn album Slaughter the Sun, if you know that album, classic Swedish black metal album. And then the bass player also plays in the Death Doom band Van Held, if you know them, as well as Kings of Asgard, which is a kind of melodic Viking-esque death metal band. So yeah, really cool. I really enjoyed that, and there's a few more of them from the same seller, so I might pick them up as well. Now the last one of this, what are we on, 20 odd minutes collection update, is a bit of a gem, and I'm very, very proud to have this in my collection. This was a gift from the boys from the band Enchantment. This is As Greed as the Eye Beholds. This is the 2021 single, which I believe is going to be featured on their new album, which comes out this year, hopefully not too long now. Enchantment is a early 90s doom death band that formed around, I'm going to say, 91, but then they disbanded in 95 after their first full-length Dance the Marble Naked. I think it was like a year or two later. Now, most people watch my video will already know about this, and most people already know Mark, who has the channel Mark G with C. But I've spoken to all these guys. I was lucky enough to interview them on my channel not too long ago for this album that they're putting together. And when I say it, and I mean this honestly, if I didn't even know Mark or Paul or any of the other guys, I would say in the top 4 of UK Death Doom you have My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, the first Decomposed album, and then Enchantment with Dance the Marble Naked. Those 4 for me were always the ones I really, really enjoyed. Anathema's was good, but it didn't draw me nowhere near as good as these guys, you know. Decomposed's album as well, that was fucking awesome, but no one ever talks about those 2 for some reason. It really annoys me. It's just like, the piece feel free, but even, you know, Paradise Lost were only on them for like 2 albums and then they left. But this is fucking awesome. This is really, really good, and I'm not just saying that, I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's ass. I genuinely really, really like this. I still get goosebumps from that riff going. I really, really like it. Very heavy. Then they break it up in the middle, and Paul goes clean on some of the vocals, and there's some acousticy bits in there which really surprised me. It's got like a very bass heavy sound, which I find really funny. You can tell Mark just did that, you know, just to make sure bass players can be heard in doom metal, because we've played gigs without Shane before in Consecration. People go, you don't even need a bass player. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But what really surprised me as well on this was the B-side, which is The Beauty of Lies, which is a bonus track that was written back in '95. It never made, or even earlier than that probably, it never made the Dance the Marble Naked album. And some of the lyrics on there are brilliant. Like, you got exposure of flattering breasts, such milk desires perverse. So sweet is the taste of urine, as do their mouths stream with pleasure. I mean, what the fuck's all that about? But, you know, riff-wise, it's fucking awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. Just shows that Paul's just a massive pervert. But aren't we all? But yeah, a brilliant album. This is a variant of, I think there's only 200 of them were marble, and I was lucky enough to get the 100 black. But yeah, Paul, Mark, all the other guys, Steve and Mark again, you know, all legends, you know, great to see them doing new music again, and I'm really genuinely looking forward to seeing the new album and picking it apart with my ears. So that is my vinyl update. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think below, and you know, like bands like Live Primordial and that, is there any other albums I should check out from them, because I literally know nothing about them apart from what I've heard on that record down there. Leave a like if you got to the end of this video, and please comment below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Cheers!